Hi everyone, it's Andrea over at Sewspire.com, and May is all about the Market Tote here at Sewspire. Many of you have made and love my original Market Tote, which I will link to down in the notes. I have several tutorials for that. Today we are going to be making a mini Market Tote, and then next week we're going to start a maxi Market Tote. So again, May is all about the Market Tote here at Sewspire. Let me tell you a little bit about this bag before we jump right in. We're going to make it start to finish in this one video. So it measures approximately 8 by 9 by 3. It's perfect for quick trips out, like think lunch with your best friend. This is a great bag for that. On the inside, we have a long swivel key fob. We have a full-length zipper pocket so you can keep your wallet and other valuables secure. And then on the front of that zipper pocket are 3 shallow slip pockets. So you can put like lotion, lip gloss, tiny things like that you want to keep out of the big pocket but readily accessible. And then you still have plenty of cargo space there in case you need to add anything else to this darling little bag. So without further ado, shall we get started? Okay, so for this project, you are going to need 1 yard of quilt weight cotton for your interior, a fat quarter of quilt weight cotton for your exterior, a 1/4 yard or less of cork or vinyl or home decor fabric, a 12-inch or longer zipper, a 1/2 inch swivel key fob, and then less than a 1/2 yard of the Annie's Soft and Stable. You could substitute the foam for fusible fleece, or Decaville Light would be a great choice. In a pinch, you could also use quilt batting. So my exterior cotton print is designed by Barry J. The collection is Bloomsbury, and that is for Art Gallery Fabrics. And then my interior print is designed by Valerie Wells for Robert Kaufman. And there is not a collection name on that. And then I purchased my blue cork from Sally Tomato. Okay, so we're going to start by prepping the exterior, which you're going to cut a 4 by 12 inch piece of your cork or non-frame material, and then a 9 by 12 inch piece of your accent print. And you're going to position those panels right sides facing and join them so that you get one panel, which you are going to notch out 1.5 inch corners from the bottom right and left hand corners of the base there. And then if you're using cork, that seam will just naturally lay up. I suggest whichever direction your seam is laying naturally, you stick with that. Give it a good press where it's safe to press, and then cut out a like-size piece of ideally the Annie's Soft and Stable. Then what we're going to do is run a row of stitching right along that line where you join the 2 panels, and then press in with your finger a center press line on that top accent panel so that you can add 1 more row of stitching across there to add a little detail to that. So I'm just aligning the right hand edge of my presser foot with the top of that cork, and I'm going to stitch right across there. And that's what that looks like. And then I have my center horizontal press line that I'm going to add a second row of stitching right down the middle of that accent panel. And that's what that looks like on the front and on the back. And that additional stitching is not only decorative, but it will hold your fabric to the foam. My foam is not fusible, so I like to add that additional stitching. So you end up roughly with a 12 by 12 panel if you are not accounting for the notches, and you will create 2 of those, and those will be your exterior front and rear for this mini market tote. So I'm going to go ahead and position those right sides facing, and I am going to try to give priority to the cork and the stitch lines. It's okay if they don't line up perfectly, but if you can get them close, that is nice. And then using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, I'm going to stitch down the right and the left hand sides and across the base. I am not stitching in the notches. Then once you have stitched the right and the left hand edges and the base, go back in and check those seams and make sure that you have captured all the layers and you're satisfied with that. And then you can go ahead and trim that up to a 1/4 inch. Okay, then you're going to reach inside and align the side seams with the base seam, and using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, you're going to stitch straight across there to give the bag its depth. And then you'll repeat that for the opposite corner, aligning the side and the base seam. Make sure everything's nice and flat, and then use that 5/8 of an inch to stitch straight across. And then you can go ahead and trim those corners to a 1/4 inch. And I like to fold those into meet and make sure that I have achieved the same depth on both sides there. And I am close enough. Now I can go ahead and turn this exterior right sides out. This is going to be the perfect size for quick trips out, dates, summer adventures, where you don't need to bring a lot of stuff with you. Cute. Okay, and this is what it looks like on the outside, darling. Get everything shaped like you want. The foam is wonderful to work with because it adds a lot of structure without adding weight. It's perfect for this project. So now you're going to want to take that top edge and turn it over about 1 inch and go ahead and get that clipped so that foam can start getting used to laying down. And I like to clip the side seams first and then come in at center on the front and the rear, and then add additional clips as needed to get that top edge to lay down nice. And make sure that your top edge is straight. You have that center stitch line as a guide, and then you could also measure if you wanted from the base up. I typically can eyeball it and get it close enough. So super cute, and I did a pretty good job with the sides. This side is absolutely perfect, and this side is just ever so slightly off with that center stitch, but it is highly unlikely that anyone is going to notice that because this print is so vibrant. It's really pretty. And then here's the base of that bag, and you can see it already stands up on its own, so that's wonderful. Okay, now we're going to get started on the interior of this bag. Because this is going to have somewhat of an open top to it, I wanted to incorporate a full-length zipper pocket into the interior, as well as 3 shallow slip pockets and a swivel key fob. So despite its miniature size, this bag actually has a lot of features. So for the interior, again, I'm using the quote weight cotton. I am not going to use any interfacing for this. And I am beginning with 2 of the 12 by 12 inch panels, which I've notched out the 1.5 inch corners at the bottom of those. And so I have those main body panels all prepped. Now I want to prep the interior zipper pocket. I have an 18-inch double pull YKK zipper, which I got from Zip It Zipper Supplies on Etsy. You can save 10% on your order if you enter in all caps Sewspire 10. And please do tell Jenny that Andrea from Sewspire sent you. That would be so nice. I'm really grateful for her recent sponsorship of my zipper workshop. And so I want to pay back her kindness to her. Okay, so this interior zipper pocket is 1 large panel, which is 18 inches by 12 inches. You're going to press over the top and the bottom 12-inch sides 1 inch, and then fold that fabric in half to create a fully lined zipper pocket. Then you're going to take your zipper, which is perfectly fine if it's longer than this, because these nylon zipper teeth are really easy to sew through, no problem whatsoever. I prefer the double zipper pulls because then when you close the pocket, you can have both the pulls in the center versus all the way to one side. It gives you more options with the pocket, and the double pulls are just fun. Okay, so I have my zipper tape sandwich in between. Then I have a 3 by 12 inch strip of fabric, which I pressed in half long ways. Open that up and brought those outer edges inward to meet on that center press line, and I press that over again to create a little frame, which I am going to then tuck that top zipper tape into, and I'm going to center that right along the pocket top there, and I'll hold this up for you in just a moment so you can see what that looks like. Here we go. So I have a beautiful pocket that is nice and deep. It's big enough to hold a wallet or anything else that you wanted to keep secure inside the bag. So I'm going to go ahead and run a row of stitching along the top edge of that zipper and along the bottom edge of that zipper. If you have a zipper foot, it's helpful to swap out. If not, you can adjust your needle position, or you could just sew as close as you can get to those zipper teeth. Okay, and then once you have the zipper secure, go ahead and test that out and make sure that everything functions. And this does. That's what it looks like on the front there and on the back. Now what I want to do is craft a little shallow slip pocket that is actually going to sit right on the front of this zipper pocket. I love the layered pockets because it doesn't take up additional space on the panel because you're already consuming that anyways with the zipper pocket, but it allows you an area that you can tuck like lip gloss, lipstick, perhaps your keys in there, tiny things that you want to keep out of that big pocket so that you can find them easily. So I have 2 pieces of material that are 5 inches tall by 12 inches wide, and I have pressed over the top edge about 1/2 inch, and I am going to stagger very slightly those panels wrong sides facing so that I get a tiny lip at the top of that pocket, and I'm going to run 2 rows of stitching across that. But at first I have to switch back out to my regular presser foot. Okay, so I have a double row of stitching right across the top of that pocket. Now I want to take that pocket and press it in thirds so that I get my vertical stitch lines there, and I'm going to position this pocket at center on my zipper pocket. And so you want to make sure that that's level. It works out to be about 3 inches from the top of the zipper, which is, we put that trim on there, and 2 inches from the base of the pocket. And so then you'll run a row of stitching across the bottom of that slip pocket, and then go ahead and stitch in those vertical dividers so that you have a 3-way divided slip pocket attached to your zipper pocket. Alright, so now I have my little 3 slip pockets on the front of this zipper pocket, and now I want to bring over my rear interior panel, and I'm going to position that zipper pocket on this panel 5/8 of an inch from the top of those notches, or 1 inch from the top of that panel. And I will hold that up for you so you can see. You just want to make sure you leave yourself room to fold over that top edge. So go with the 1 inch on the top versus prioritizing the bottom, because you can always stitch through the corners of that pocket without any problems. So now that I have my layered zipper pocket on this panel, I want to stitch across the base of the zipper pocket and across the top of the zipper pocket to attach that to that interior rear panel. Whoop, I just remembered something. As I'm sewing the top of this zipper pocket on here, I really wanted to attach a swivel key fob underneath the top of that zipper pocket, and so I'm just going to back stitch here and lock that stitch in place, and go ahead and cut that thread, and we're going to hit pause here for a second on attaching that zipper pocket, and I'm going to create a nice long swivel key fob. So this is 3 by 12, and I did the same thing, press in half long ways, open that up, bring those outer edges inward to meet on that center press line, and fold that over. So I'm going to run a row of stitching down the right hand side of this and the opposite side. Okay, now I have a nice long key fob, which I'm going to thread on a 1/2 inch swivel fob and line up those raw edges, and then I'm going to tuck those raw edges underneath the top. Actually, I'm going to trim off these stray threads here so they don't bother me, and I'm going to tuck that swivel fob in just below those zipper teeth so that I can stitch that into place when I attach the top of that zipper pocket. So So I'm just going to pick right back up where I stopped. And then when I get to that swivel fob, I'm going to back stitch and reinforce that. Okay, and now my swivel fob is tucked in there underneath the top of that zipper trim. And so you have the option, if you wanted, of coming back over that initial zipper stitching. You could stitch right on that line, and then you could fully encase those raw edges from that fob. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now I can't see those raw edges of that fob, and my fob has 2 rows of stitching plus the back stitching, so it will be nice and secure. Okay, so my zipper pocket has been attached at the top twice and then across the base, and I have these 3 little slip pockets in there, and then I have one additional panel that's a 12 by 12. That's the interior front, and I notched out the 1.5 inch notches. I think it would be too much to add pockets to this panel as well, because by the time you fill up your pockets, you're not going to have a lot of interior cargo space left. So you have that option, of course, of adding pockets here if you like, but I just prefer them on one side of this particular bag. So I'm going to move my zipper pulls to the center and secure my key fob there so it doesn't accidentally get stitched into the side seam. And I'm going to position my panels right sides facing, and I am going to stitch down the right hand side, the left hand side, and across the base, again using that 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. I am not going to stitch the notches yet, and there should be no problem whatsoever sewing right through this zipper. But if for some reason you are concerned, just hand crank over the zipper teeth and you should be fine. Okay, once you have the left, the right hand sides, and the base secure, come back in again, check those seams, make sure you've captured all your pocket layers and everything looks like you had planned, and then go ahead and trim up that excess down to the 1/4 inch. And then same thing, we're going to align the side seam with the base seam, and using 5/8 of an inch, we're going to stitch across there. It's perfectly fine if you're stitching through that zipper pocket. Then just have a look inside, make sure everything is good, and then you can go ahead and trim those sides to a 1/4 inch. All right, and then the next step is to fold over that top edge about 1/2 an inch, because you want to leave yourself some room to stitch across the top there. So begin at the side seams and get those secure, and then you can come back in at center and add additional clips if needed. Okay, so this is super cute. Now you're going to want to bring back over your exterior. If you have a preferred side as to what's the front or what's the back of this, identify that. And I don't know that I do, they're all cute. I like to position the pockets for the interior along the rear of the bag so that when I'm carrying it, those pockets will sit against my body. So I'm going to align the side seams first and consolidate those clips. And then once you get the side seams aligned, you should be able to just pull on that and your front and rear panels will align nicely as well. And then you can just, again, consolidate those clips. And then once you have the lining in place, everything should fit nice as long as your seam allowance was consistent. Then I like to put my hands in there and smooth that lining into the interior, and it should start to grip that foam, and you should have a nice fit. So I have my interior in place, super happy with that, loving the size of this little bag. Now I want to make 2 short padded straps, and so these straps are a little narrower than my normal strap. They're only 1 inch, and that's because we want to keep the proportions nice on this bag. I feel the 1.5 inch straps would overwhelm this little mini Market Tote. So I cut my straps 4 inches wide by 18 inches long. This is going to be a very short strap. This bag is meant to carry in the crook of your elbow or in hand. If you prefer a longer strap, all you have to do is make it a little longer. And so I was not able to bring those outer edges all the way into the center press line. I brought them in about 1/4 inch from that center press line and then folded that over, so I got a 1 inch strap. So you may need to measure if you're not comfortable eyeballing that. And then I put a 1 inch piece of the Annie's Soft and Stable in that channel, and I press that again. And now I'm going to run 1 row of stitching along the open side and 1 along the opposite side. Okay, and now I have 2 really nice fun straps, and they have a nice bit of padding in there thanks to that Annie's, and so they'll be comfy to carry in the crook of your elbow like that. I'm just going to trim up the little raw edges there, and then I'm going to go ahead and position these in between those interior and exterior layers, and I think I'll be coming 2 inches from each end. And I think it's helpful to swap out 2 pins to attach the straps so that they don't come loose on you or shift. Okay, and now I'm going to flip that over, and same thing, tuck the raw edge in 2 inches. And at this point, make sure your handles are the same height. Oh, it's so cute, and it's just perfect. I can carry it like that. I can carry it like this, carry it like this. It's really cute. It stands up on its own. It's like perfect for a lunch date, quick trips to the grocery. It's a darling little mini Market Tote. So now all I have to do is stitch around that top perimeter and reinforce those handles with a back stitch. I want to be really mindful of the key fob because there's not a lot of room to clear that, and so I'm going to go nice and slow there. If you did want a closure on this bag, you have a couple of options. You could do the button tab closure like I have on the original Market Tote. You could do a small flap closure, or you could install a snap or a magnetic closure. I really enjoy using the open top totes like this, especially when they have an interior zipper compartment that I know, like, my wallet is secure. So I prefer mine to be open on the top. It is definitely easier to sew this top on if you remove your machine deck. And then because that key fob is my first point of concern, I'm going to go ahead and start on that end and go real slow so that I don't forget about that and I know that I have cleared that. All right, I have made it all the way around. I was able to keep my key fob clear of that top stitch line. It is super cute. I recognize it's kind of hard for you to see all the details on the inside, but I love that fabric and I thought the darker blue was a nice choice for this pretty exterior print by Art Gallery there. I'm really happy with how this mini market tote turned out. Please let me know in the comments how you like it and if you'll be adding a closure to yours or if you like the open top totes like I do. And again, we have that interior zipper pocket, so I have the peace of mind and knowing that my wallet is secure on the inside. Before we say goodbye, I just want to give you some finished measurements on this. So I'm coming in at 9¼ inches tall and 3 inches deep, and then across the base is 8 inches. And these little tiny handles are 6 3/4 inches there. But it really is a fun little sweet bag, and I hope you like this. Please share photos of your mini market totes on the Facebook group page. I will put a link to that down in the notes for you, as well as links to the Sewspire Patreon group and to my social media. I am active on Facebook and Instagram, and then on occasion you may see a tweet or two from Sewspire. So I want to thank you for joining me. Next week we are going to make a maxi market tote. May is all about the market tote. I want to wish all of the mothers out there and grandmothers out there happy Mother's Day. I hope you feel loved and appreciated and your day is filled with light and laughter. Until we meet again, as always, please know the creative genius in me will be celebrating the creative genius in you. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Thank you for sewing with me.